This shit more than the game energy is radiating at high levels when all five senses are tingling because you see it, you smell it, you can touch it, you can taste it, and you damn sure can hear it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jono Barnes Show, where this shit more than a game.
Perfect.
This shit more than a game. Good morning, good evening, and good night, whatever time you watch this show. We hope it is a good one. Today, you guys, we have a very special guest. And if you say that, I always say that on every episode, well, guess what? You must be a Sacramento Kings fan. Because, guys, tonight on the Jono Barnes Show, very special edition, we have a This Shit More Than a Game pioneer. If you know, you know, and the real ones damn sure know. He is a 12-year NBA veteran. He is a former New Orleans Hornet and a New Orleans Pelican. Ain't that many players who are Hornets and Pelicans players. He's one of those rare players who was on both sides of the coin. He is a Colorado State Hall of Famer, and he currently serves as an analyst for the Monumental Sports Network for the Washington Wizards. Give it up, you guys, for New Orleans Hornets and New Orleans Pelicans legend, Jason Smith. Jason, how are you, my man?
I am good. I am glad to be here. I have no idea what I got myself into, but you know as well as I know, this shit's more than a game, baby.
Facts. And Jason, it's probably a good time to really have you on the show because, truthfully, when we first scheduled this interview, I'm going to be honest, I was drunk off the Kool-Aid and I was like, oh, we're definitely going to be in the playoffs already. The New Orleans Pelicans, we're going to be in the playoffs, so it's going to be a celebratory show. But the atmosphere right now in New Orleans and Louisiana isn't quite as excited as it was about a week ago. But that's why we have you here. Is actually maybe you can bring some of that positive and some of that strong This Shit More Than the Game juju, which is going to help us win against the Sacramento Kings tomorrow in the final play-in game. But speaking of the New Orleans Pelicans, Jason, and the whole situation we're in, if you are still New Orleans Pelicans, what would you be telling the players right now if you are in that locker room? You lose to the Lakers the past two games, Zion gets hurt, and now tomorrow is a game where if you lose, you go home. If you win, you get to play Oklahoma City Thunder. What would be your mentality as a player, and what would you tell your teammates if you were still in the locker room right now?
Man, you know what? It's a tough situation going against the Los Angeles Lakers, and for some reason – that team just has your number. They got you at the end of the regular season, then they got you in the play-in game. Now, granted, Zion had a fantastic game. 40 points, 11 rebounds. He was playing out of his mind. But you know as well as I know, in those last couple seconds, couple minutes, he went out with another injury. So that's detrimental to this team. He's a very big part of the team. But guess what? You guys played without him really well a couple years ago. I don't see why you can't do that again. I don't see why you can't have the same ball movement. I don't see why B.I. can't show up, Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum. I mean, you guys have the talent. Herb Jones. You could go on and on down the list. There's players that are going out there. They're playing really well. You have a fantastic, young, talented team. Yes, you don't have Zion, but guess what? When you don't have one of your best players, everybody elevates their game. I think that's going to happen with New Orleans. I think they have a better chance against Sacramento. Now, this is me being positive. I like Sacramento, but they don't have New Orleans juju. They don't have what it takes to go out there and win a game. They've proven that they can have a good regular season record, but once it gets time to play off or play in status, they get a little shaky out there. So I like New Orleans.
Well, I needed to hear that because I was even one of those pessimistic fans like, I've ranted so long about how everything that could go wrong with this franchise, I swear, goes wrong. And like you say, Zion had 40 points on Tuesday. He's looking like he's taking that leap, and his body just seems to always give out on him on the worst possible times. As a fellow big man, Jason, and Zion is definitely like a freak of nature. So it's hard to like even compare yourself to him. But is there any type of advice you give big men to like say, hey, this is what you probably should do to try to really avoid injury? Because us being big men, our bodies already are like susceptible more to injuries because of how much weight and pressure we're putting on it. But I know that Zion is also a freak of nature and he's one of one as far as like NBA bodies, right, that we've ever seen. But would there be any type of advice that you could give him if you were having a conversation with him?
You know, the only thing that I can really think of is the way that he lands from when he jumps. When he was younger, yeah, you could go up, do a 360, reverse tomahawk, whatever the hell he's doing up there. But then when he comes down with such violent force on his joints. You got to have a little bit of give. Yeah, I know you want to be a showboater and everything and have kind of like that pogo stick land and jump up again. But when you start to get a little bit older, and with all the games that he's playing and the minutes that you play, your body takes such wear and tear. You have to learn how to jump. You have to learn how to fall. You have to learn how the body mechanics really work. And I think that was something that I kind of had to learn throughout my playing career, is making sure that you go with how old you are. You got to know your limitations. But for him, I thought he was playing well the entire game. I didn't see anything wrong or happen to him until the end. And it wasn't a play that stood out to me that he got hurt. Now, granted, maybe I looked away from the screen. I don't know. It wasn't like, oh, man, two guys collided and he's got a hamstring injury or something. No. It was just he got checked out of the game, and he just went straight to the locker room, pissed off more than anything. So I was like, oh, that's not good. But for him, like you said, he's a freak of nature. He is a one-of-one player. Whenever he wants to be dominant out there, you saw LeBron guarding him. There's no way AD could guard him because he has a lower center of gravity. He just pushes him out of the way. But when LeBron's pretty strong, right?
Very.
He is a guy that
he's like a football player too.
Exactly. So you saw Zion just taking it right at him multiple times. And there was one time LeBron took a charge, fell hard on the ground. And Zion was like, come on, man, I barely touched you. What? That's a different kind of strong out there.
Do you watch sometimes and like, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that in practice?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like when I'm getting up from sitting for a long time, I'm like, oh gosh, yep, all right, made it up. I'm good. But then when I see you guys like diving on the floor, I'm like, damn, I did that for 12 years. God, what was I thinking? But I don't regret 1 minute of it.
Of course, because you are this shit more than the game certified. And you know, Jason, well, I hope you know, Jason, man, the New Orleans fans to this day, Jason, to this day love you. When I announced that you are going to be on the show, I can't tell you how many people were DMing me, mentioning me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, saying how much they love you, how you are a Hornet and Pelicans legend. So they're excited. We're excited to have you on the show tonight. I don't think a lot of people actually remember, though, but when you were actually traded to the Hornets, it wasn't just you. It was you and another player by the name of Willie Green, our head coach. Does that make you? I tell you what, again, for people who may not know, I was a ball boy for the Pelicans, Hornets for 13 years. So me and Jason were able to become good friends. But when I see like Willie Green as our head coach, and I'm like, damn, I was a ball boy when he was out playing with us. That makes me feel old. So as a former teammate of him, does that make you feel old when you see like Willie Green being the head coach of some of your other teammates now doing analyst work or being, coaches and whatnot?
It doesn't make me feel old, but it makes me feel proud of what they've accomplished, because Willie had always wanted to be a coach and getting into the coaching atmosphere. And the path that he kind of took, he'd always been with really good coaches, with Steve Kerr. He went with Monty Williams in Phoenix, and then he finally got an opportunity to kind of take the helm in New Orleans. And you see the success that he's had because he's been to all those places. He's had the experience as an NBA player, as a college player. So for him, I'm proud of him. It's really cool to see those guys that you've played with or that you've had interactions with so closely for so many years. Because I played with him up in Philly for 3 years, and then I played with him down in New Orleans for a couple of years. So to see him take the helm and have the success that he's had, I'm not surprised at all, and I'm actually really happy for him.
Does it motivate you? Because I be watching some of your analyst videos for the Wizards Monumental Sports Network. Do you ever say, I think I could do this coaching thing? Do you ever have any interest in that? Or are you like, I'm good with being an analyst? It's less hours.
I am good with being an analyst. That coaching stuff, I might hit somebody. Like, I don't have that tendency, but I get a little physical out there. No, with coaches nowadays, it's insane because the amount of time that you have to put in, not only for practice, but pre-practice, post-practice, the travel, the games, trying to get new players to the team and recruiting. I mean, they always say like the front office kind of puts the team together and you go out there and coach it. But when you're at the NBA level or the pro level, it's a lot of dynamics that goes into it. It's not just basketball. There's a business side of it as well. So that whole dynamic of it, I didn't necessarily want to join into that because I gave my life for 12 years to basketball. I miss birthdays, I miss holidays, I miss family get-togethers. For me now, I have the opportunity to be dad first and foremost. I've got a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, and they are the best thing in the world. Like, to be able to go to their sporting events and to make sure that they're okay and going to their plays and whatever school events that they have, that's special to me. And I worked so hard so that I could do that. I don't have to miss it because I'm on a work trip or I'm at a job or something that I have to do all the time, 9 to 5. But for me, if I get to be a dad because of all the hard work that I put into, that is completely worth it. And I am so happy and thankful and grateful for where I am today that at this point in my life, coaching isn't really a priority for me. A lot of people said coaching or front office or like if you talk the nitty gritty of basketball with me, I can tell you trade strategies. I can tell you coaching strategies. I can tell you plays and why they ran this and that. And that's why I do what I do on TV for Monumental, because I can kind of portray to the public of, all right, this is why they lost, or this is why they won, or this is what's going to happen in the future for the draft. And it's that kind of dynamic for me that makes this so much easier for me because I have done it. I've been at the highest of high levels. I know what guys are thinking about in the locker room when they've had success, when they have injuries. And there's a lot of things that go into it that people don't really get to see. I mean, you got to see this stuff as a ball boy of things and dynamic.
That's why I'm always
amazing.
Some call me because you know how fanaticism is, right? So Willie has his detractors down here. And I'm like, well, part of me is probably biased because I'm a friend of Willie as well. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to, be all hard. But I also know I was blessed to see what goes on behind the scenes and stuff that the average fan doesn't see. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm glad you also say like, you've seen teammates become front office personnel. And that just reminded me, I'm like, yeah, me too. Like Sean Marks in Brooklyn. Quincy Pondexter's coaching college. You are an analyst. Like I say, I felt old. I'm like, dang, all these players who I were like helping rebound with are now doing great things post-career. And I love it. I love it. And I love that you are now being able to be a full-time father to your kids. You say they're, 6 and 8?
9 and 6. 9-year-old daughter, 6-year-old son.
Are they at the age now where they're like, whoa, my dad was in the NBA, and they go show off to their friends? Because that's a cool thing to say, my dad was in the NBA.
They kind of do. I've kind of kept it kind of at bay for them to make sure that they don't realize things. But I live in the Philadelphia area, and that was my first team when I started out my professional career. And then when I got home first, there was a lot of people that were coming up to me asking to take pictures with me or get autographs from me. And my kids would kind of look at me like, you don't know them. Why are you talking to them? And I'm like, long story, but Daddy used to play in the NBA. And they're just like, oh, okay, cool. You played basketball, whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now that they're getting a little bit older, it's starting to sink in because all their friends are like, oh my God, your dad played in the NBA? And they're like, yeah, he played basketball. So what? Cool. I'm like, yep, still hasn't hit you yet. Okay, cool. Well, maybe in another couple of years.
Yeah, give it about, especially with the 9-year-old, give it about 4 more years. They're going to be like, whoa, they're going to tell everybody. They're going to probably wear it on a shirt. My dad was in the NBA.
Yeah.
You live in Philly. Philadelphia fans love you, but like I say, New Orleans fans really love you. And we were definitely grateful that you got to spend a portion of your career with the New Orleans Hornets / Pelicans. How was your time in New Orleans, Jason?
Man, portion of my career? What are you talking about? Those were the best years of my career. I had a blast in New Orleans. Not only was the fan base awesome, we were playoff bound my first year. I got to play with Chris Paul, Hall of Fame point guard, probably one of the best point guards, if not the best point guard I ever played with. I got to play with David West. We had a playoff run. We played against Kobe and the Lakers in the playoffs. Didn't go our way, but still the experience that I had. I got to play with the number 1 pick in Anthony Davis. I got to meet so many different teammates. The city was amazing to me, my family, individually. And by the way, the food is unbelievable. By far the best city that I had in my NBA career because it was different than every other NBA city. The people, I already told you about them. They're pretty nice. The food, amazing. And by the way, you guys like to throw a party for any damn reason.
Any reason.
Whatsoever. Oh, you guys want to throw a red dress party? Sure, let's throw a red dress party. Let's throw a parade. Cool. Oh, you guys want to throw some beads out? Awesome. For how long? Oh, for a week? Oh, a month? Doesn't matter. Let's do it. Cool.
I was waiting though for you to say, and I also got to be with the best ball boy of all time, Jono Barnes. Like,
yeah,
that
didn't happen because there was many other better ball boys than you.
Anyway,
not even gonna lie. You better not cut that out either. I'm so proud.
Well, we're live. That's why me and Jason always got along, y'all. But one thing that happened in New Orleans that was very uniquely New Orleans. I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. But do you remember this moment, Jason? When we had the Mardi Gras uniforms, because we love Mardi Gras, like you said, and your jersey was misspelled. I mean, I guess we learned that day that this Smith is more than a game. But do you remember that moment?
We had Al Farouk Amino on the team, and they had his name spelled right. Like, how do you mess up Smith?
And look, the thing is, everybody always uses like this screenshot to like reflect on that moment. But me, what I remember the most about that moment, you see Big Shot in the back, Jason, and that look on Big Shot's face. I made sure I'm not going to be anywhere in Big Shot's vicinity when he discovered that error. If he was going up, I was going down. If he was going left, I was going right because Big Shot is already in the zone on game day. So when he saw that, it was like World War II backstage, and he was like, "How in the?" So that's what I always remember.
That was
about
awesome
that
moment
moment.
for me. I've been trying to find that jersey. I've moved so many times since New Orleans. It's sad to say, but I am struggling to find it throughout all the jerseys and all the old stuff that I have. I have boxes and boxes of stuff that I haven't gone through yet, and I want to frame that jersey. Right here is where that jersey is going to go because it holds a special place in my heart because New Orleans won, plus Mardi Gras jersey. Oh, by the way, my name is spelled wrong, so yeah, good story about that one.
Knowing Big Shot, that jersey is probably burned the day after. Jason.
No. See, now when I took it off and I changed jerseys, I said, I want this jersey. Like, do not throw it away. So he made sure that I have it. It's just the problem with my memory of where did I put that thing? Which move did I put it in? Which box did I put it in? Yeah, that's the problem.
I hope you find it. Please find it.
Yes.
I'm selfish. I mean, I know you want to wear it or put it on in your house, but I would love it for my This Shit More Than the Game studios. You know,
that's a one of one. You ain't getting that, Jono.
All right, well, geez, I'm gonna just ask Big Shot to make another one. Maybe he'll make another one for me because that was a funny moment, but people don't realize, you know, just the stress, I guess, that Big Shot had when it came to that moment. You mentioned earlier about the playoff series with the Lakers, which was a great time in the city. We, of course, lost the series 4-2, but we gave them a damn good fight. Especially being the underdogs that we were. When you look back at that series, do you have any memories from it that always stand out to you?
Man, you know what? Whenever anybody says, do you have a famous Kobe memory? I can always recall to that playoff series. Now, granted, I wasn't playing 30 minutes a night. I maybe got like 10 minutes a game in those series, but I got to play, and I got to play good pivotal minutes. And I remember we were at home, and Kobe was driving on the right side of the basket. I was bottom weak side help, and I wanted to make sure that Kobe didn't make me look like a fool or anything, so I went over there with some extra gusto. I put my foot on the baseline like you're supposed to, cut him off so you can't just kind of dribble around, and he hit me with this shoulder straight in my sternum. And I mean, I got the foul, of course. He went out of bounds. But I was coming over there with the mindset, all right, let's make him feel your presence. He made me feel his presence. I lost my wind. I was sucking air. And I don't think he got knocked down, but he got knocked into the crowd. He came back. He was like, all right, I see how it's going to be. And I was like, yeah. 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 I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't breathe. I was like, oh, I just got Kobe a good one, but that hurt like a mother. Oh. But from that moment on, they knew I was going to be there in the paint. I wasn't going to be any weak link going in there defensively. And from that point on, the playoffs, they're no joke, man. The physicality that comes with it, the intensity goes crazy. The home crowd goes nuts. You pack in the house. I mean, you've got win or go home scenarios. You've got a 7-game series. And if you don't perform, you're going home. But like you said, in that series, I do believe we had a 2-1 lead at one point. We stole one game from them in LA, and then we won that first one when we got home. So we had a 2-1. We had a chance. But then Kobe, he turned into Kobe. I mean, you can't fault the guy.
That's why I hated the Lakers before them, but I hate the Lakers. And for them to put us in this predicament for tomorrow, hopefully we have that type of attitude, all of our players that you had going into that Lakers series where you're going to leave it all out on the court, because that's exactly what you need. And I saw it firsthand, the intensity level rise come playoff time. And I really want the current iteration of the New Orleans Pelicans players to get to experience that. Even without Zion, I still think that just having that playoff experience is monumental to especially a young team like ours, right? So again, hopefully they take your mindset that you had way back when to tomorrow's game and we beat those damn Sacramento Kings, because I'm just tired of all these damn California teams at this point.
So now, if you guys beat the Sacramento Kings, who do you match up with in the playoffs?
We'll get Oklahoma City now.
Oklahoma City. Now, how did you guys do throughout the entire season?
I'll be very transparent. Oklahoma has our number. And I'm actually a little jealous because Oklahoma feels like they've leaped us as far as, we were supposed to be the number 1 seed at this point in the Zion BI era. So I'm like, how the hell did Oklahoma City of all teams leap us? And
that's crazy because it's not just you. It's everybody's like, man, Oklahoma City, what? I mean, we thought they were going to be okay because they had a lot of young talent. They got a taste of the playoffs. But then Chris Paul left. You still got SGA. But you didn't know what the other side of the talent pool was going to reflect. And man, oh, man, they are shining bright.
And this was before your time. That's how old I am. After Katrina, man, the Hornets went to Oklahoma City for 2 years. And that damn city tried to take the team from us. And I'm always spiteful of that. So any chance we can get it. And even if the Oklahoma City done to beat us in the playoffs, even if we get 1 or 2 games, that'll make me feel a little better. Because anyways, Jason, all right, so we gotta ask, because this is like the thing that people always talk about every time I bring you up, when I mention that I was a ball boy for you, the Oh Ye Faithful incident with one Blake Griffin. And it's very ironic, Jason, when I announced you were going to be on the show on Monday, the next day, Blake Griffin announced his retirement. I don't know if that was a coincidence or not. Maybe he started having some PTSD or some flashbacks, but
a little flashback there or something.
I do want to say this. Blake Griffin was actually one of the nicest players, opposing players that I got to work with. I got nothing but nice things to say about him. We wish him obviously all the best in his post-basketball career. I'm sure he's going to shine in whatever role that he does or field that he decides to get into. But let's reflect, Jason. And I know I see already backstage our numbers are going up because I know this is what everybody wants to talk about and get your thoughts on. That Oh Ye Faithful night when you showed Blake Griffin and the whole wide world that this shit is more than a game.
Guard, young Henry. Smith on telegraph.
Dang it, Jay. Don't be turning the ball over. Oh, boy.
That's going to be a flagrant foul for sure.
Well, Jason Smith went all the way to the stands, and 4 Clippers went after it.
DeAndre out there taking care of his buddy.
Oh, man, the memories.
So you don't do that to my friend and my teammates. Blake's getting up slowly.
I mean, he took a shot.
And Smith out there applauding. He was leading the crowd in cheers. How about going over and saying, Blake, how you doing, bud? I'm sorry.
There's no attempt on the ball. Watch this. There's just no place in the NBA for a play like that.
Yeah, I mean, that could be an ejection.
Could be an ejection.
Could be a season-ending injury for a play.
You saw me clap my hand. I knew I had to get back on defense. And I was like,
the league, but you're 12th man. You don't want to get hit like that. Well, he has been ejected. Flagrant foul.
Oh, wait for the best part.
Level 2.
There's your boy right there.
Yeah,
you knew where the camera was. You knew where the camera was.
And
Yeah.
The fans
Pump
applaud
the crowd
him.
up. I got thrown out. Might as well.
Well, they should know better.
They should know better.
Especially here in New Orleans, where they have all
Oh,
sorts
look.
of bounding
Oh, look.
problems with
He's
the
shooting
football
free
team.
throws now. I thought he was dead. He was laying on the ground like he was dead. Dang.
So, Jason, you obviously you heard the announcers were pissed. The media was pissed. I was going back and looking through some old historical articles, and like they just calling you out, calling the city of New Orleans. I'm like, how could the fans cheer for such a ruthless move like that? And opposing fans were mad. I mean, I was going back and I saw some Reddit threads from like 12 years ago where they were like, oh, screw Jason Smith. And, you know, talking about how New Orleans fans, you would think that we would know better because that's when the Saints Bounty Gate news was all coming out. And I'm like, they must not know New Orleans. Like, as if the Bounty Gate was supposed to make us feel ashamed or something. Like, you know, we're the most pettiest fan base in the whole damn world. But Jason, can you talk about just this moment and everything that came with it? I know you issued an apology to Blake Griffin. Did you and Blake ever see each other again and y'all hashed it out?
We never hashed it out per se.
Like, were you actually going for him? What was it?
It was, so here's the whole context of the game. One, it was a very emotional game because Chris Paul was back in the building. It was his first game back in, well, I believe it was Smoothie King Arena. I'm not sure what it was at the time, but it was his first time back in New Orleans. So it was a very emotionally charged game there. Clippers were an extremely good team. They were Lob City at the time. They had DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and they had a host of other key players, and they thought they were going to make a deep run in the playoffs. So they were a really good team. Then you take it to Saints. They had their Bounty Gate, which everything was going on in the media with that of like hurting players or doing that. So then I got more attention for that. I got my 15 minutes of fame from that. And it wasn't necessarily like I was trying to hurt him. I was just trying to do what Tayshaun Prince does. He would make the effort to go right in front of a player thinking that you're going to try and steal the ball, but you don't make any contact with him. If you slow it down frame by frame, it looks like I'm trying to truck stick him, but I'm really trying to dive my shoulder to go in front of him and get around him. Well, one big problem though. Blake dove his shoulder, and I was like, oh no. As soon as I saw him go down with his shoulder, I was like, I can't stop. I'm 7 feet. I'm running as fast as I can. And the rest is really history because I hit him, made solid contact. Once I knew it was no point of return, I was like, oh my gosh, just don't get truck stick by Blake Griffin. Well, I'm kind of the one who did the truck stick in there. Now, granted, not condoning that whatsoever. It got blown way out of proportion because if you look at the entire game, me and Blake didn't really see eye to eye. It was very physical. There was a couple times that I had hit the ground and I wasn't too appreciative of Blake throwing me on the ground, and fouls were not called. So, again, the emotions were high. It was a fun game. I mean, a fun game. But yes, New Orleans forever will remember that moment because of not only Chris Paul coming back for the first time, but your boy taking out Blake Griffin.
You are a this shit more than a game pioneer because of this moment, Jason. And you and Blake, y'all never actually talked about it, right? Like y'all never.
So no, when I actually was in free agency coming out of New Orleans, the Clippers were the biggest team that really wanted me on their team. The contracts weren't exactly the greatest, but I had conversations with Chris Paul, with Doc Rivers. I had a conversation with DeAndre Jordan. And I asked every single one of them, I was like, all right, you guys are cool with me joining the team, but what about Blake?
Ooh,
and they were like, he's the first one that wanted you on the team. And I was like, what? So that's where the competition is. You show them that you're not going to back down, that you're going to go out there and you're going to play hard and you're going to go out there and do whatever it takes to win a game. And I think Blake saw that, Chris saw that, DeAndre saw that, the coaches saw that for the Clippers. So it was really not necessarily that you want to go out there and do that to prove yourself. There's other ways to do that, obviously. But I was the guy that was kind of the catalyst. I had to set good screens for other guys to go score. I had to go out there and really hustle and play hard to get rebounds. No plays were ever drawn up for me. So for me, I was kind of a workhorse and a guy that really did the dirty work out there. And I made sure to go out there and do it to the best of my ability of getting rebounds, extra possessions. If I got a shot every once in a while, cool. If I didn't, I would make sure the other players that were really good shooters got great attempts. So I was a great teammate. And for me, that's all that I could really do.
And you see, that's why. And again, I was in that environment, so I got to see it firsthand. But whenever
in that environment, I don't think you saw the pose that you did when I was getting thrown out of the game. You went,
well, you know what? Let's bring the clip back.
Scoot over a little bit more. Yeah, I'm on the camera. Oh yeah, y'all saw me when Jay got thrown me. You saw? Look at that! Look at that!
This is also a very historical moment because this is when I saw firsthand, wow, this shit really is more than a game. So, Jason, that's why I say you are this shit more than a game. I almost look like my guy Corey said this earlier on Twitter. I look like a mafia boss. Like, I'm the one who called in a hit. I'm like, good job, Jason. Good job. You showed why this shit more than a game. I will never forget that moment. And I'm being 100% honest. Like, it was at that moment where I was like, whoa, when you are wearing New Orleans across your chest, this shit is more than a game. And you even said it beautifully that Blake wanted you on the Clippers after that, because whenever there's a scuffle or whatever in the NBA, fans are screw this guy, the media dissects it like it's a damn pig in a science class. But that usually garners the respect of the two players. I mean, off the top of my head, I remember when Kobe and Matt Barnes used to get into it. No relation with Matt Barnes, by the way.
Yes, Kobe Matt Barnes, you take it to Meta World Peace. I mean, Kobe joined him as well.
That's why I never take these type of things, especially that I saw it firsthand, as serious as other fans or media does. Because, hey, man, when it's in between the chalk lines and in between the court and the field and all that good stuff, it's nothing personal. This shit more than a game.
Yep. It is completely competitive juices are flowing. Everybody wants to win the game. But at the same time, you don't want to be just walked all over out there. You want to go out there and show that you're going to hold your ground, you're going to compete. Now, granted, some people have bad blood out there, and you can obviously see the individuals that just don't like each other. There's also other people that maybe have some screws loose. But for me, I did what I did. The end of the game came. I apologize first and foremost because I was a little embarrassed of what I did. And after the adrenaline kind of came down, I made sure to make things right. And the fact that you do that, that's one thing. Now, if you just stick to your guns and you want to go out there and be the person that you think you are on the court all the time, that's another thing. Because for me, I'm not that guy. I'm going to leave it out there on the floor, but I'm going to be the best person I can be in the public's eye. It's not a microcosm of, oh, man, Jay's a dick all the time. No. Now, granted, I can mess with you. We can have fun. This is an awesome opportunity for me to go out there and showcase what I can do on the floor, but I'm still going to be a great teammate, a great player, a coachable player off of the floor.
And I love it. And I didn't even know about the component of, when you were a free agent, the Chris Paul and Blake and them recruiting you. So as long as we've known each other, I've never actually formally asked you about that incident myself. People might think that I know I never asked you about it, even when you came back from suspension. So this is all news to me. So I'm glad that you're transparent with it. And again, I am very grateful that you showed me firsthand that this shit more than a game. See, now, Jason, I might be like the avatar in the city of New Orleans and state of Louisiana for this shit more than a game. But I will always give you your just doing that. You are a pioneer, a founding father, a godfather, whatever they want to call it, being this shit more than a game. So I'm glad that you were able to discuss that with us. A few more basketball questions, then we'll have some real fun. You went to the Wizards after the Pelicans, right? That's when you went to the Wizards. Who else? I know it was Philly, New Orleans. Was it Milwaukee after us then?
Keep going. I'm going to let you sweat this one out. I'm going to let you sweat this one out.
No, it was New York.
Go ahead. Keep trying.
It was New York.
Okay. New York what?
The Knicks.
Okay, there you go. Yes, I went to the Knicks for a year, and boy, did I miss New Orleans. Holy cow.
Wow. No, okay, now I got to. What's the difference between because look, as a New Orleans fan, we always are jilted because the national media has a hard on for these big markets and you got to play in New York or Miami or California to be a big deal. And it's like, okay, well, what about us small markets? Do we just exist for tax write-off purposes? What the hell? So what was the difference between New York and New Orleans? I'm interested.
So with New York, it was great opportunity for me to play out on the Knicks. But for New Orleans, it was a small town atmosphere. I'm from a small town, Kersey, Colorado. I was born and raised, 1,500 people in my town. I had graduated high school with 67 kids. So for me to go back to New Orleans from Philly, it kind of felt like home. Like people were really nice. Everybody was nice to each other. It was very relaxed. You go back up to the East Coast and in New York, the New York media, they love to try and find something for you to talk about. Whether it's true or not, they just kind of want to put some bait out there so that there's clickbait. But for basketball, we had high expectations of being fourth, fifth seed or third or fourth seed in the East. And we had the massive amount of injuries, coaching dramatics, the front office dramatics. We had the Zen Master, Phil Jackson, as our GM. We had Derek Fisher as our coach. And it was all first-year stuff. Nobody had Phil Jackson as a GM at the time. Nobody had Derek Fisher as a coach at the time. So on paper, yeah, we were a great team. Did everything unfold the way that we thought it was going to? Not quite. Carmelo gets hurt in the middle of the season. He has to stop and have surgery. We cut Sam Dallenberg. We cut another guy, mid-level guy. Then we cut another guy. Traded Amari Stoudemire. We traded J.R. Smith. We traded Amon Shumpert. I mean, it turned into a fire sale. Like that season was awful. It was the longest season ever. Now, granted, I got to play a ton. I learned the triangle offense. I had a great time playing there in New York at the Garden every single night. But the logistics behind going to New York Knicks, it's tough, man. Our practice facility was an hour away from the Garden. It was up north in Tarrytown, New York. You had 2 different airports that you flew out of. If you had a road trip that didn't revolve around a back-to-back, you flew out of the Westchester Airport. If you had a road trip that was right after a game at home, you guys all brought your cars to the arena, or you parked your cars at the other airport in Westchester, had a car service take you to the game, played the game in Madison Square Garden, then rode a team bus to Newark Airport to fly off on the road. So the logistics of that is just like, huh? You want me to play basketball and do what? So for me, New York, I had success there. I enjoyed it, but I couldn't wait to get out of New York. The big city feel, it's just not for me, man.
You know what? We need you in our front office, so whenever we're trying to court a free agent, we can let them know, hey, the lights look bright in New York and LA, but let me tell you why New Orleans was the place to be. I love that. I love that. We got to clip that to my producer Ziggy in the backstage. We got to clip that. That was a damn good ass. Jason, quickly, you played for Philly, New Orleans, New York, then Orlando, then Washington, and Milwaukee. I know you already said your favorite was New Orleans, right?
Yep.
Of course. That's why I did. Yes, you see, that's why you are this shit more than the game certified. I want to ask you one question about your time in Washington. No, probably the biggest game I would say of your career was the Game 7 against the Wizards and the Celtics that you guys came up just short, but that was a hell of a series. I still remember that one to this day. Do you look back at that game as like your biggest, like, that's the one I toss and turn when I see, but like, if we would have did this or that, we could have been in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Absolutely, because that game was, not only was it fun to play there, like playoff basketball in Boston,
look at that sexy guy.
Unreal. Like you go there and I got to play against the Boston trio, the championship Boston teams with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and to see that and then see the dynamic of them actually in the playoffs. Now, granted, going there in the regular season is one thing. They go nuts there in the regular season. You go there in the playoffs, it's insane. The level of intensity from their crowd is nuts. But when you take them out of it, that place becomes very quiet, and they start to turn on their own team really quick. We found that out in game 1. We got one game on the playoffs there. We took care of home. It was basically the team that was going to win at home was going to win the series. They took one at our place. So we had a last-second shot by John Wall on game 6 to send it back to a game 7 in Boston. Let me tell you, game 7 in Boston, the Garden, where you have a chance to go and play the Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron, which you had won the season series handily, and you can't get it done because of one man in particular, Isaiah Thomas. That man was a problem. I hated him with a passion because he was so small, but yet so effective for that team. And for some reason, he gave us problems. He gave us 52 in the playoffs in one of those games up in Boston. It was a nightmare. We had some bad blood throughout the regular season of Boston and us, so it was the most fun that I've had in the NBA playoffs by far. Just for that Game 7, really that whole entire series was so much fun.
It was a classic. It was a classic. And you finish your career very fittingly. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know it's kind of unceremonious, but you came back to the Pelicans. People don't remember that portion of it. It was a real quick. It was almost like you made a cameo. But it's kind of like one of those things, though, Jason. Like, sometimes when a player's retiring, they sign with the team that meant the most to them, to a one-day contract or whatever. So I kind of look at it that way. Like, it was very fitting for you to end your career as a New Orleans Pelican because, again, you are a pioneer of why this shit is more than a game. And it was pretty cool for the most part to see you, I guess, backstage in the locker room for like your final iteration as a player. But all jokes aside, though, I did think it was pretty awesome. And I was very happy that I obviously wanted you to continue your career as long as you wanted to. But I was very happy that you got to have like almost a goodbye to New Orleans. Because look, man, 12 years in the NBA, that's not easy. That is not easy.
I can't go wrong, especially with all the injuries that I had. I had to overcome some hurdles. I had to be a good teammate. I wasn't scoring 20 points a night. I was making sure that I was doing the right things to have our team make success. I was a student when it come to watching video. I made sure to check the scouting reports, KYP, know who your personnel is out there. So for me, it was a lot of fun. And 12 years went by so damn fast. I tell you what, when you're having fun, it goes by really, really quick. A lot of people are like, man, I'm stuck in this job for 30 years. This wasn't even a job. This was like a blip in my career, but it was 12 years. I had so much fun. And I mean, obviously you would say, oh man, I'm going to play forever. Nope. My body loves the fact that I'm a dad now. I don't have to run up and down the floor. My knees love it. It's different, but I'm enjoying my life right now.
That actually leads me to my next question. You seem like you are really enjoying your post-NBA career. Being an analyst for the Washington Wizards, being a father to your kids, being a husband. How has life been after the NBA?
It's been good. I mean, for me, I didn't have any, like, obviously the aches and pains, they hurt a little bit just from going through the physicality and everything and the longevity of 12 years. But for me, I can pretty much do as I please. I choose to work as an analyst for the Wizards. It keeps me close to the game, yet far enough away to where I don't have that time constraint of being a coach or front office person. But for me, it's also an opportunity to stay close to the game and really kind of have that competitive spirit about me and watching the game and staying up with it and the current players. And for me, I mean, if I had to stop cold turkey, that would suck. So the fact that I am able to do it and I'm allowed to do it and get paid for it, I mean, that's the best of any world.
And what would you tell? You kind of have experience with this because when you came to the Hornets, we had just came from a bad season. So I know the Wizards fans are dealing with that right now as they kind of go through this rebuild. What would you tell? Because I'm sure we'll get some Wizards fans watching too. What would you tell them to be optimistic about the future for the Washington Wizards?
You know what? Enjoy the game. Enjoy the process of watching the team get better. Watch the young guys develop. Remember where you're at and the hardships that you're going through at the current time when you have so many losses, when you think everything is hopeless. Why do we even play the game? We should just trade them all away and fire the coaches and just give up. That's not how it works. They go into practice every single day getting better. You'll see individual players have individual success because of the hard work that they put in. And it's those players that you're going to have success with in the future because they know how hard the times were back in the days when you didn't win more than 30 games in a season or 20 games in a season. Then to see and have success by getting draft picks or getting free agents, and then you get a good coach or the front office changes. When everything starts to click, that's when you're like, man, remember those days when we were so terrible? It's really satisfying to see the success that your team has after the hardships that they go through.
I am sure that is music to the Wizards' ears. You had a great NBA career, Jason. I still remember the first time me and you actually ever met. You probably wouldn't, we had an open practice it was right before the season. So that's when we do our little open practice event for the fans at I guess it was the New Orleans Arena still at the time, but now the Smoothie King Center. And the night before, Big Shot accidentally flooded the locker room. So that guy, and Big Shot again, when things go awry, Big Shot can be on one. So one of my duties of that day was Big Shot was like, whenever a player comes in, do not let them come in this damn locker room. Tell them they got to go to the opposing locker room for the day. So when you came in, I was like, hey, nice to meet you. Our locker's kind of flooded, so you might need to go to you got to go to the opposing locker room. You just kind of like, what the hell? What kind of city am I in? And I wanted to be like, yeah, brother, it floods in New Orleans on the streets and it floods in our locker room as well. But that was like a true welcome to New Orleans moment. I will never forget that moment. And then I enjoyed your time as a New Orleans Hornet and Pelican. And you are absolutely great for this franchise. And you are, again, this year more than a game pioneer. So from me and from, I'm telling you, all of the fans, we got over 500 people watching across all platforms because they love them some Jason Smith. I hope you know how adored you are in New Orleans. And we don't use the word legend for any player just because they put on a New Orleans Hornet, Pelican, Saint, LSU uniform. Like, you have to really be somebody special to the city for us to call someone a legend. So I hope you know that we truly view you as a New Orleans Hornet and Pelican legend in New Orleans and in Louisiana.
Oh, I appreciate that. And there's a lot of players that were better than me. There's a lot of players that scored more points than me. But, man, did I love New Orleans, because you know as well as I do that this shit is more than a game.
Hell yeah. Now, before we're going to have a little fun. We ain't going to just talk basketball. This is the Jono Barnes Show. We don't just bring people on for X's and O's and all that. Y'all go to what's the ESPN? But I don't even know if ESPN does that anymore. Nah, we have fun on the Jono Barnes Show. So we want to get to know more about Pelicans and Hornets legend Jason Smith. I'm going to bring on my producer, Ziggy, who is also a former ball boy, but he is also a huge fan of the Pelicans. And Ziggy, man, we got Jason on the show. I know that you want to give your words of adornment to him, but what else you got on your mind that you want to ask Jason?
First off, I wanted to give Jason Smith, he's been on the show for about 46 minutes. Jono, you didn't give this man no air horns, no applause. Like, come on, man. What are we doing here, bro? It's Jason Smith.
I apologize.
So, I have a few questions for you, Jason Smith, if you don't mind. Someone that deals a lot with production and kind of the behind the scenes work, media day, different things like that. I always wonder, like, the person that is the object of the photo, like, I wonder what's going through their mind. So if you don't mind, Jason, to kind of play along with us, we have a game called What Was Going Through Your Mind? And I'm going to put up some photos, and you let us know what was going through
I was
your
the
mind.
worst picture taker ever. So this is going to be great.
We'll start with an easy one.
Okay.
Jason, what was going through your mind on this one right here on the right? It's like, see a young guy, chiseled, New Orleans Hornets jersey on. What was going through your mind in this one, Jason?
So, you take your media shots, and then they have you just kind of sitting there, and I may have or may not have been messing around, or I look damn good, because I have actually a magazine photo shoot where I was the cover of the magazine when I was coming out of the draft, and they told me to, like, palm the ball, flex your muscles, and, like, look into the camera deep and sexy. And I was like, all right, let me do it real quick. And then when I did it, I was like, wait a minute, this is gonna be media day stuff. This isn't a photo shoot for a magazine or anything like that. So after I did it, I was like, oh no, they're gonna use that a lot. Oh no.
That's a good one. And as a fellow bench warmer in high school basketball, I have that didn't score a lot of points.
You saw how he just kind of subtly gave me a backhanded compliment.
I'm just messing with him.
As a fellow
one thing
back in the day, man, you and me both, you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, we rode the bench a lot, but
I rode the bench, but
God damn.
Nah. But as someone that you mentioned with Jono, someone that didn't score a lot of points and different things like that, you set picks, and I think that's something that people maybe don't take for granted, that don't appreciate with their players. So I want to show you this photo right here, which is something that I feel is something that you attribute is the hustle points and the intensity. What was going through your mind right here when you were dunking this ball right here with we have Rashad Lewis right there?
Yep, Rashard Lewis and John Wall in the background.
John Wall.
Young John Wall.
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind
me,
when you got hustle points like this? How did that feel, getting hustle points, put back dunks, different things like that?
Oh wait, Jason, and before you answer that, every time you scored, I don't know if you remember what your
click, boom. Come on, man.
You know, we
click,
used to do a thing
boom.
where every player got a sound bite. Do you remember yours, Jason?
Yes, I do. Click,
All right,
boom.
Here we go. Yeah, I hope y'all heard that.
Yeah, I remember that.
This ain't the top of the line studio. All right, geez. But yeah, that click, boom, baby.
Anytime I made a shot, that went off. I remember when I first got there, I didn't really think anything of it, but it was kind of one of the songs that I always kind of liked. And I was like, you know what? And I didn't know what to pick because CP had the woo anytime he scored. So I was like, well, I got to get something that's quick. I got to get something that's going to, like, I don't know, rock inspired. I really wanted to do something with Linkin Park, but I was like, you know what? Click, boom. That's actually pretty good. If I make a shot, click, boom. Okay, let's do that. And I don't think that one of the, I guess, PR people assisted me with that. I was just like, you know what? That's a good song. It's quick. It's easy. They can play the full thing. Because, like, some people could do the Mario coins, getting a coin or something, but everybody knows it's Mario. For me, whenever I made a shot, click, boom, it was like, all right, we know it's saliva, but that's when Jason Smith makes a shot. And it became my thing, and I was like, yes.
Ziggy, I don't know. I think Jason, he still looks good, too, that he can come back and his soundbite could be this shit more than a game every time he gets a block or a dunk. I'm just saying.
I'll give you a couple fouls, but I don't think I can make it up and down the court for more than maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
I got 2 more, and then we'll proceed with the show. What about this one, Jason? How is it being a very tall guy taking photos with you know, with some people with average height?
You see my golf club. It's much bigger than the rest of the guys. It's going up to the shoulder of the guy on the far with the black hat. But for me, everybody always has a nice little joke of saying, oh man, you're so tall. It must be so nice. And then you see pictures like this. I like to have fun with pictures like this because somebody got me again and said, I can kind of tell when they do it, but now with Apple phones, you could zoom in. So you can't really determine the angles. And when I saw the picture, I was like, oh, hell no. Somebody got me again.
They tried to get you.
Oh, somebody got me again. It's happened from high school. In college, my teachers from high school were only about 30 minutes away. So they would come and watch my college games, and they were so proud of everything that I had accomplished at the time. So after one of the games, they wanted to take a picture with me. And they took the picture, and it's like the old school cameras where you have to get the film developed. And I knew exactly what they were doing because the center of the lens was pointed kind of like directly at my chest, not kind of up at my face. So I was like, oh, I know what they're doing. So a couple months go by, they get the pictures developed, they come to another game, and they pull out this picture and have me sign it for them. I was like, it never ends. It just never ends. So for me, I don't mind it. I'm tall. I get it. Everybody, whenever I go to the grocery store or anything, asks me, oh, man, how tall are you? Did you play basketball?
Every time. Man, and this is the last one I have, and this is one that I think doesn't get talked about enough, is the things that you all do off of the court. And it looks like right here you're reading some books to some kids in Louisiana. You see the Louisiana flag right there.
So I was actually, I Spy Louisiana is one of the books that even I learned something. They say it's a children's book. Well, majority of the time, I didn't know what the stuff was in Louisiana. So anytime I got to read books, I was actually paying attention to the kids. And I would ask them the question, and it's not even a second notion. They're just like rattling off the answers. And I was so impressed with them because it makes reading fun for them because I'm in tune with the book and I show interest in it. And for them to have an NBA player read to you or have an interaction with you is awesome. I remember when I was in elementary school, I had our local weatherman from the TV station come into our school. I still to this day will never forget him coming to our school because he was on TV. He's amazing. The fact that I was an NBA player and I love to go to schools and read to kids, it was an opportunity for me to have fun with it because, one, I'm a big kid at heart. I'm a big goofball. I'm not even going to lie about it.
That's
and
true.
For
That's
me
very
to
true.
Get the opportunity,
I can confirm that.
Yeah. And for me to get an opportunity to go to the schools and read to them and show the importance of reading and how it kind of intertwines with my job, it was very important to me.
Ziggy, you want to know what was going through my head when I don't know if y'all know, I was all the way in the background. I was like, damn, I didn't know Jason could read.
Wow. I was gonna let you roll with it. I knew
you gonna let him go. Oh, I got one for you, Jason. Here you go.
Yes.
Anyway,
and then this is what I had for I had this one.
That show, you know what that show?
Hey, I'm the guy.
I said it earlier in the show. He was a Hornet and Pelican, and there's not that many players who are Hornets and Pelicans. So Jason was a part of a prestigious group. And it shows how big Jason was because when we did this is the uniform review. I remember this day perfectly. Yep. Like they only bring out like the star players for like uniform reviews and things like that. So that Jason it was Jason, Drew Holiday, Anthony Davis, and I'm pretty sure Ryan Anderson. So that shows you how much the city loved New Orleans, the city loved Jason. That Jason got an invite to be a part of the uniform reveal when we debuted the New Orleans Pelicans look.
And man, when I had that uniform unveil, I was coming off of an injury, so I was not ripped like that picture right there. I was large and in charge. I had not been able to do any sort of like working out to get back in shape. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'd love to have you do the jersey stuff." And I'm like, I don't know if that's such a good idea, but for me to, like you said, they only pick the certain few players that they see staying with the organization that has meant a lot to that organization. And I felt absolutely honored and humbled that they even thought of me. I was like, as soon as they said, "Would you like to do the jersey stuff?" I was like, "Yes." "When do you want me there? What time?" "I will be there." But that's the player and teammate that I was my entire career. If they asked me to do something, I was like, yes, that means I get to be in the public eye and they actually like me.
All right.
That's all I had. I appreciate it.
This show has been so great, Ziggy, but unfortunately, it's probably about to take a little bit of a downturn because Jason is always faithful saying that you can choose friends, but you can't choose family. A very unpopular but infamous person on the Jono Barnes Show is my little cousin, Evan Barnes, who born in true New Orleans, but has since relocated to Dallas. And I don't know what's in the Texas era, but he's gone from this biggest Hornet and Pelican guy to believe in that every year it's the Cowboys year and that the Dallas Mavericks are the greatest thing. Now, unfortunately, though, again, I can't choose family. So there was a lot of backstage shenanigans with him demanding that he be on this show. So little brother Evan on the show. And Evan, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, but the floor is yours. Is there anything you want to tell or ask Mr. This Shit More Than the Game pioneer, Jason Smith?
Well, Jason Smith, I want to say it's an honor to talk to you, sir. I wish you played for the Dallas Mavericks besides the Hornets, but look, that's a conversation for a different day, okay? I'll say it different. I just have two questions. One, I want to say, I think it was 2011, 2012. I think you scored your career high against, was it the Timberwolves? I want to say.
It was either Minnesota or the Mavericks, one of those two. I don't remember.
It wasn't the Mavericks. I can tell you that. I know it wasn't the Mavericks. All right. Look, Dirk Nowitzki won't allow that. Okay, I'm just saying. He would not allow that. But I think you scored your career high. I just want to know, that day, did you wake up feeling different? You like, you know what? Y'all give me the ball.
I was never that person that was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling like I'm getting 30 today. No, I scored 26 points. And I think if you look at the actual box score of the game, I think I maybe shot 10 out of 11. So I had to make every single shot, every single free throw in order to get another shot attempt or to get more minutes out there. It's just kind of one of those games where you're in the zone. I actually think I got to start that game because Emeka Okafor was out. So I got an opportunity to go out there and play big minutes as a starter. and we were down a big, so I got to play even more minutes. But then when I started making some shots, I got some more minutes. I was pretty happy and proud of myself, and it's definitely one of those things where you're like, man, that was a cool moment. I wish I could have had more of those moments, but I'm okay with what I got.
Yeah. I think y'all won that game too that night. Okay. And the second one, I saw the golf picture. Look, I know those will look like some customized fitted golf. So you're a golfer, I assume, right?
Yep.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
There it is. So two things. One, what's your handicap? And two, what is your favorite course that you ever played on?
Oh, my handicap. Well, that's another story. I am not Steph Curry on the golf course. I am probably the worst golfer there ever was, but I like going outside. I enjoy the game. It's something competitive and fun for me, but my handicap may or may not be over 19.8. Oh, what? Is there a fly in here? Oh. So it's not the best. I'm not a 2 handicap. Everybody's like, oh, you're a professional athlete. You should be able to dart those things straight to the thing. You're 7 feet tall. You can drive at 300 yards. Yeah, if I can get it to go straight, that's the problem. Everything decides it wants to go, yo.
And what was the favorite golf course you ever played on?
Favorite golf course? Actually, I'll give you one where I had an opportunity to play at this golf course, but I wasn't a golfer at the time. We actually, when I was playing with the Knicks, we had an opportunity to golf on someone who's not so popular nowadays, Donald Trump's Trump course up in New York. But it is absolutely exquisite from what I have heard. I didn't golf. They asked us, hey, do you want to go for this appearance? You have the opportunity to golf at this private course with some season ticket holders. And I was like, golf? What are you talking about? I don't golf. I'm a basketball player. Like, why would I golf? Well, Tim Hardaway Jr., he's an actual golfer, and he went, and he was raving of how nice it was and everything. So I didn't get to play that, but I've gotten to play a couple courses around the Philadelphia area. Now, granted, I only recently started to take up golf. Like the last so when I stopped playing, that's when I kind of took up golf. So about 5 years ago. So I kind of stick to the public courses because when you go to the private courses and they know that you're a professional athlete, they have these high expectations of you like, oh, your handicap must be like 6, 7. And I'm like, 19, 20.
Hey, look, it's okay. Like I'm playing at the TBC Scottsdale this weekend, and I'm hopefully they look at me and they're like, hey, not low key brag, okay? Just a little low key brag. But hopefully they look at me and
you saw how he slid that in there, right? He was like, oh yeah, I'm just for the TV.
And he got that stupid cowboy hat on.
Just a little brag. But look, hopefully they look at me and hopefully they know I ain't a golfer. But yeah, that's the only questions I have for you, though.
I will say,
I can look at
Jason,
you right now, and I could say, you don't look like a golfer.
Oh,
but Jason, if you're ever in a city, man, we should do a Jono Barnes Show where all of us, because I'm not a golfer either, obviously. I know Ziggy's not a golfer, but we should just all go golfing one day.
How you know how you just answer for me? How you know I'm not a golfer?
I know. That's prejudice of me. I'm sorry. Ziggy, are you a golfer? Are you a golfer? Ziggy, are you a golfer?
No, I'm not.
All right. Well, what? You know what? Jason, you may not be a golfer, but I know one thing that you are, and that is you are a damn good dancer. And I'm a little mad because you didn't showcase your dancing skills in New Orleans, which is the perfect city to showcase your dancing skills. You already started doing it. I think in New York. However,
I did.
I want to show for the world who may not know the other side of one Jason Smith, just how damn good of a dancer Jason Smith is.
Oh no. Oh no. And that guy right there is our security guy. This was literally just to get warm. Oh, that was at a wedding. I was feeling good. You see what's in my hand? That ain't fruit punch.
Hey.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Damn it, social media got me again.
Hey.
Come on, get the knees going. Okay. Oh yeah. Get the footwork going. Look, the guy who is in the army stuff, he's like, what is wrong with this giant over here? What is he doing? Oh, I was at a wedding yet again. I was not drinking fruit punch. Damn. What is wrong with
Look,
you?
everybody's laughing, having a good time, man. That's awesome.
That's exactly what I was trying to do because you loosen up the atmosphere. We were the New York Knicks at the time. We were not a good team. So you could go at it one way or another. You could go at it two different ways. You could be like, man, we got to play Philadelphia 76ers. They're a good team. We're about to get stomped in their place. Or you could go out there and be like, you know what? Let's play free. Let's have some fun. This is still basketball. Let's go out there, play together, play hard, and try and go out there and get a dub. That was my mindset.
Good attitude. Mindset.
I'm just mad, Jason, that you didn't do it in New Orleans because we obviously would have appreciated it a lot more.
Yeah.
But when you
That
want
would
to
have
come
been fun
back
in New Orleans, too.
to New Orleans, you got to showcase some of them dance moves, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I'll work on that.
We appreciate your time. We don't want to keep you too long, so we're going to do a few hot seat questions, I guess, something that takes too much time to give thought to. First question is this. What was your favorite New Orleans dish?
Ooh. You know, I was a little bit impartial. It was either crawfish étouffée or shrimp étouffée that they had in the arena. Oh my
the arena
gosh.
one, okay.
Oh my gosh. But even then, if you go out into the city, my favorite restaurant in New Orleans to go to, now granted, it's probably the chain restaurant. I might get killed for this, but Emeril's was my spot to go to.
No, that's not a
I
chain.
love going to Emeril's.
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Oh,
Emeril's in New
Emeril's
Orleans is
was
like Popeyes in Louisiana.
amazing.
Like it just means more out there.
yeah.
Wait here.
Now Popeyes, I actually got my first experience at Popeyes when I was down in New Orleans, and I was like, hey, it's a New Orleans-based restaurant. Might as well go check it out. Oh my gosh, red beans and rice. What? Delicious. Anyway.
Gotta love red beans and rice Mondays down here in New Orleans. Jason, do you still play basketball recreationally? And when you play, do you still dominate?
Oh,
No.
So you
No,
retired.
I did that one time, and I said, you know what? What am I doing? I'm beating up on some 30 some odd, 40 some odd, maybe guys who are taking their AARP cards to the gym. What am I doing? I put the shoes away. You know what I actually am? You guys got the golfing stuff. I'm actually an avid pickleballer as well.
Oh, that's kind of controversial because people are like don't like this rise of pickleball. I was with my wife this weekend, and I seen a lot of old folks playing pickle. It kind of captured my attention. I was like, I think I can give this a shot and try it out. We should play, Jason. I really want to give it a shot.
Oh, I would love it. Pickleball is awesome. It's fun where I don't really have to move anywhere, but I have the reach, and oh my gosh,
that's not fair because you cover the whole court. That shouldn't be fair whatsoever. You stay in the middle, you can't hear anything. No,
Jason, when you come back to New Orleans, whenever you come to visit, golf and pickleball is going to be on the agenda. You just gotta let us know, and we will make time to rock with you on that. Who was your favorite teammate throughout your whole 12-year NBA career?
Ooh, 12-year NBA career, favorite teammate. You know, I got to be a little impartial, and this is not favoritism towards New Orleans. But when he got to the team, I really liked Ryan Anderson. Him and I just kind of.
I knew it. And courtesy of my big brother, Juan Bones, who was also a ball, but who was also a good friend of yours, Jason Smith, he sent me this photo. And that's why I knew Ryan Anderson. You guys, that happens before game. Post game, Jason and Ryan were like two kids in a classroom that always got to go to detention because they were just the silliest class clowns, but we absolutely loved it. Look at Drew in the background, like, here those two go again.
Yep, Drew was in the background, me and Ryan. He was like, hey, man, I look good in this suit. Take a picture of me real quick. And I was like, what? We need to go out to the bench. Like, the team's about to start playing. What are you doing?
Oh, that was a pregame photo. This is like with 5-10 minutes before the game time starts.
This was actually a game where I was hurt. I was coming off of surgery. Ryan was hurt at the time, and I think Drew was hurt. So we weren't going out. We weren't ready to play that day. We were on the IR, so we didn't get to play that day. I do remember that, by the way. There was a lot of moments like that.
I was about to say, I remember the good times that you and Ryan always provided in that locker room, and I'm glad that my brother was able to capture that moment. Who was the toughest player? I mean, there's so many moments, like that's just the tip of the iceberg of what you and Ryan would bring to the locker room, but that made the locker room so much fun and just a great vibe. Who was the toughest player you ever played against?
Oh, you could go on and on down the list. Now, granted, I didn't have to guard all the guards and mid-range and small forwards and everything that are pretty much dominating the league. For me, it was Dwight Howard. He was so strong. You knew exactly what he was going to do, but he just moved you out of the way. I'm not a small guy, and I couldn't stop him from going any which way. A lot of people say, oh, man, what about Shaq? And I was like, I got Shaq at the later end of his career.
Yep.
They're like, what about Kobe? I'm like, Kobe was a dominant presence, but I never really had to guard him that much. I mean, I went up into pick and rolls, but I never really isolation had to guard him the entire game. Like when somebody says, oh man, Kobe gave you 40, I'm like, he didn't give me 40. He gave me 40. I was protecting the rim. I did my job, but yeah, that was Dwight Howard for me.
He give me 40.
Well,
don't put me in that.
Speaking of tough players, every time we have a special guest on the show, we want to ask them their Mount Rushmore to their field of what they specialized in. So for you, Mr. Jason Smith, if you need a few seconds or whatever to think about it, but who is on your power forward Mount Rushmore? Or if you want to do just general basketball players, that's fine as well, if it's easier for you.
Ooh, power forward Mount Rushmore. See, now, I went through the evolution of the game to where you had Tim Duncan.
Yep.
I love Tim Duncan. You had Kevin Garnett. I'm doing my era of the power forward. You had the Tim Duncan. You had the Kevin Garnett. But also there was a man who pioneered the game and kind of spaced the game out, Dirk Nowitzki. He was my favorite player growing up in high school. He was my favorite player. That was my coming to the NBA moment. I circled when we were playing the Mavericks when I was in Philly. I remember I got subbed in on him, and he gave me 3 fouls real quick. Just for the sheer technical ability to figure out where my feet were. He wasn't faster than me. He wasn't jumping higher than me. But his basketball IQ, he was like, man, this rookie has no idea what's coming to him. He drove to the rim, got me 1 foul. I was like, all right, whatever. I deserve that. I was a little overzealous. I might have been a little excited. Whatever. So then the next play down the floor, they run the same damn play. And because he saw my foot position was in the wrong place, he gets into my body, gets a second foul, gets an and one again. I'm like, oh, my God. All right, Jay, focus. He is going to get you subbed out if you don't play better. What do they do the next play? Same damn play. I'm like, all right, I fixed my feet. He's not getting to the basket this time. He goes up for a shot. I didn't touch his arm. He yells. They give him the foul. He makes the shot and goes to the free throw line again. And I was like, oh, God. I didn't even want to look at the bench. I didn't want to look at the coaching staff. I knew I was coming out. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, JJ gave up 3 and 1 opportunities to a future Hall of Fame player, and he must not know the scouting report. All I heard was, I didn't even look to see if anybody was subbing for me. I just turned around and ran to the bench. And I was like, yep, that's nothing I could do. Just got subbed out for that. So I got Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki. Man, power forward. And then you take another step in the evolution of the game. It was a guy that was in my draft, Kevin Durant. Can't go wrong with him. But also the man that I watched dominate for so many years. I mean, a lot of people would say small forward, but you kind of saw him go power forward, small forward, LeBron James. I mean, you can't leave him off there. I don't really know what his position is because you could consider him as point guard or small forward or power forward.
His position is basketball player. He does it all.
Yeah. Like,
his position is yes.
Yeah, so that's why when you say power forward, I kind of put him in that category as well. If you said small forward, obviously MJ and Kobe have to go in there because they're great. But for me, that's my power forward 5.
That's a damn good Mount Rushmore. Damn good Mount Rushmore. And I'm honored that I was able to see it firsthand on the court, watch those great matchups. And you mentioned about Dirk, how, he saw your foot in the wrong position. And that's the type of stuff that I got to learn as a ball boy, like the things that you don't see, when you're watching just as a casual fan. But like, what makes great players great? Like, talent is one thing, but it's the IQ. It's the work that you put in before the game. It's all of the small intricacies that really turns great players into the elite players like a Dirk Nowitzki, a Kevin Garnett, or Tim Duncan. So I'm damn glad you mentioned that. And even though this is going to give Evan more trash talk ammo to us, I do love Dirk Nowitzki myself. Honestly, Dirk is probably like my favorite opposing player of all the great players that I got, because Dirk, for some reason, he took a liking to me too. Now, he didn't take a liking to me like he did with you, where he wanted to abuse you on the court, but he just, I don't know. Remember, Jason, I had the wild hair back then, so maybe Dirk was like, this kid kind of looks like me a little bit, but Dirk was awesome. So
I think he was more of along the lines of like, this kid might not all be there. I wonder if he's okay.
And finally, Jason, you're a pretty big video gamer, right? Or at least a video game player, right? Yes. Ziggy is a huge video game person, and when he saw that you had a Twitch, I don't know how active you are with it, but he loves that type of stuff. He was more excited when I mentioned that to him than he was like, I'm getting to talk to a guy who was a Pelicans legend. He was like, oh man, Jason plays video games and is a part of that video game lifestyle.
I was pretty excited.
So I know, Jason, you can see the smile on Ziggy's face now. What is your favorite video game?
So a lot of people would say, oh man, he must be Madden or NBA 2K. I am a Call of Duty through and through. Ooh. Reason being, when I grew up, I was like, oh man, NBA 2K all day. I can't wait to be on the game. But then when I actually played as myself on the game, I was some hot garbage. And I never played the game ever again.
That ain't right.
It was a moment in time where I was just like, I am so much faster than that. I can shoot way better than that. So I stopped playing that game. I got on a Call of Duty. I never looked back. But then when I was with New Orleans, it's funny though, because a lot of people tried to kind of pull me back towards the game because they said I was quote unquote a cheat code. I was like, what does that mean? Yeah. Anybody who would use me in those New Orleans days, I had like an 85% mid-range game to where if you shot with me anywhere in the mid-range, I was buckets.
Because you are in real life. I'll give you that. You are that in real life.
And I can second that, because on 2K11, 2K12, for some reason, Jason Smith on that baseline, that man wasn't missing. It was
the baseline.
And it was pissing me off too, because I'm like, come on, bro. Ain't no way
I know this ain't that damn good, bro. What the hell?
I was like, this man is not missing. Come on.
I can't second it, Jason, because I always bench you. I'm like, man, Jason, get you, man, put back Anthony
Davis. I benched myself when I first started playing that damn game.
That's Ziggy. You have any follow-up video game questions?
So aside from Call of Duty, what else do you play? Do you play with your family? So like I know with my daughter, she started kind of getting into video games. So we do like the Just Dance, we do Mario Kart. So like what is something do you play with the fam as well? Or?
Absolutely. So for me, and none of this is on Twitch yet. So I play on Nintendo Switch. We play Mario Kart. Nice. We'll play Sonic on PlayStation. Also, we'll play Just Dance on PlayStation as well. Now, granted, the Just Dance, it's more for the kids because, as you guys have all seen, I'm not much of a dancer myself. But also, the camera doesn't really pick up a 7-foot frame compared to a little.
I keep forgetting that. You're right.
So
I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah.
And lastly, outside of the shooting games, like Call of Duty, is there any like other games genres that you play, like adventure games, like Crash?
I'm a racer. I like racing games. Like when I grew up on Gran Turismo.
Okay.
I love that game. Oh my gosh. I spent so many hours on racing games, and it was particularly because my mom would never let me have like violent games. I had Mortal Kombat one time, and I think my dad got it for me for my birthday, and my mom about blew up. I was like, I better enjoy this while I can, because as soon as she saw me playing Mortal Kombat, and this is on like Super Nintendo, so it wasn't like the graphics nearly as bad as what it
over
is
the
nowadays. Top. I was having so much fun with it, but then my mom got pissed. She took it away and broke it. I was like, what? But then I got into racing games, and she was okay with racing games. So I was like, all right, I'll stick with racing games until I can get on my own.
I want to involve some of the fans right quick, Jason. So we asked them if they had any questions for you. So real quick, our guy Mikey asks, what was your favorite song growing up?
Ooh, favorite song growing up. Man, you know what? I was a Linkin Park guy, but I got to take it all the way back to my roots.
Shout out Chester Bennington.
No. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Chester.
Yeah, shout out to Chester. Yeah.
My favorite artist and favorite song growing up, Friends in Low Places, Garth Brooks. I don't know why. No. It's just one of those songs that just like takes you back to a certain memory. And it always takes me back to my childhood, growing up in a small town. Everybody knew everybody. When you drove past somebody, you always waved because you always knew it was somebody in the town or community. So for me, Friends in Low Places, Garth Brooks.
We had Saints Provost and Eric McCoy on the show, and he talked about his love for country music. And I told him, I'll tell you, I'm a country fan myself. Shout out to my wife for really putting me on. But man, that country genre be going ham. So I know that song.
Yeah.
Talking about, bro, country festivals be some good times. Like I haven't been to one in a while, but I love me some country, Jason. So that's a good song.
It's low key. It's good family friendly music. You can have a good time with it. You can drink. Nobody's gonna get all angry. It's just like
me in a good mood. Country music puts me in a good mood, and with Beyonce going to the country genre now, hopefully, like more the black people. Just being honest, like we get into it because it's a good genre and it's one that hopefully like grows further in popularity. Slim Salt asks, my dude Slim Salt asks, if you had to pick a New Orleans dish as your last meal, what would it be? I'm assuming you're going to say shrimp etouffee, right?
Yeah, shrimp etouffee. Yeah. I'll never forget, though, when I went to Giacomo's, long time ago, first time at Giacomo's, I got some barbecue shrimp. And I'm thinking, they said barbecue shrimp over rice. I'm like, okay, cool. It's going to be really good flavor. It's going to be some shrimp. There was shrimp, and then there was shrimp. This shrimp had the head, the antennas, the tail, the legs, and I was like,
interesting.
Sir, they didn't do anything to the shrimp. He's like, what are you talking about? It's barbecue shrimp. And I'm like, oh, cool. But it was really good after I got to the shrimp part of it.
All right, and finally, we have another Pelicans and Hornets ball boy legend. I'll do Kenny. I don't know if I hope you remember Kenny.
Oh, I remember Kenny.
Yeah, because him and my brother Juan, they used to always get you the shrimp etouffee. So I'm glad that Kenny is joining us. It's all coming full circle tonight. It's all coming full circle. And he has to go, and I promise you guys, I did not pay him to ask this question. He says, who was the best ball boy with the Hornets and Pelicans? And then he says, this is awesome, Jono. Congrats on the success. I mean, I know what the answer is, but
Jason already said it wasn't Jono.
It was actually
early
Kenny.
in the show.
It was Kenny.
Wait, what?
I was gonna say Lyndon or Kenny, probably.
Probably Kenny.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was probably Kenny, then Lyndon, and then there was another kid, and there was probably another kid, and then
wait, I'm not even in your ball boy Mount Rushmore.
There might have been like a couple more that I saw, but then there was probably Jono.
You gotta remember he played for other teams too, Jono.
I should be in this top
those ball boys on those teams too.
I mean, I'm assuming
No. What you're forgetting though is Jono. He was always on the opposing team's rim, so he never really had any interaction with us. He was always too superstarish to be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go hang out with Kobe real quick. Bye guys, have fun with Jay." And I was like,
All right, well, shout out to J. Devin, man. We. Jason, honestly, our ball boy class, you got to win this history. Let me pat myself on that.
I did.
Our ball boy class is doing some real, like B right now is a player development coach for the Pelicans. Jay is getting into coaching. Devin is the equipment manager now for the New England Patriots.
He was with Tulane before that.
Adam is now assistant equipment manager with the team. Gianni, I'm saying names that I'm sure you like the hand. I know you had a lot of ball boys in your career. My brother.
But every single name that you're saying, I know exactly who you're talking about. I got
our boy Lyndon is still there.
Lyndon is like, and that's history. I know you remember Lyndon, my best friend, the oldest ball boy of all time. He is still going to this day. I quit. After 13 years, I was like, I can't be in my late 30s being a ball boy. Lyndon is going to do it. He's like, I guess until the damn team wins a championship. So he's going to do it.
He ain't no ball boy anymore. He's a ball man.
He shouldn't even be a ball man. They should make him like the president of the team or something. He's been there longer than damn near everybody but Big Shot.
No.
Shout out to Lyndon. Wait, Jason, I'm at least over my brother Juan and your ball boy Mount Rushmore, right? Give me that.
What? Did your audio go out?
I say I'm at least over my brother Juan. I'm gonna say it real slow because I know me and my brother Juan are both good friends. You got me over him, right, in the ball.
Can you guys hear him? I can't hear him. Is the wind talking right now? Yeah, I lost him.
Jono, just hold the L, bro. Just take the L, dog.
Take that L.
Just take that L, dog.
I came in on that. Let's get one last question in from my dude Justin. He asks, "How did it feel to take the place of the great David West?"
Oh, I did not take the place of David West.
That's what I'm about to say.
I didn't take the place of David West one bit. He is a phenomenal player.
He was on the team with you, right?
Yes.
I was about to say, speaking of mid-range jumpers.
I know. Anytime in practice, he was going like 10 for 10 on 7 spots, and we would have competitions, and they're like, all right, Jay, you're going against David. And I'm like, is this even really like, what am I doing here? He's going to shoot 10 for 10. I could get 9 out of 10. I could get 8 out of 10, and sometimes I could tie him 10 out of 10. But I would never beat him because it's like he shot it like a damn robot from mid-range. It was swish or back of the rim every single time. And I'm like,
automatic.
But he taught me what a professional was like.
Yep.
You do that way, 10 out of 10 when nobody's in your face, you got no fans, no bright lights. But then when you get out there and things go a little bit awry, you still have that muscle memory of when you're going to get your shots and how high you have to jump, what the arc is. Those were those little intangible details that I really learned from him.
Man, just being in that locker room at that time with you and Chris and David, like the basketball IQ was through the roof. I learned so much. I forgot it in my old age now, but I learned so much from just the intricacies again of the game. So it was a great time to be a New Orleans Hornet and Pelican fan. Honestly, if David West didn't get hurt, because I don't know if fans remember, he got hurt for that Lakers playoff. He was out for the year by that point. If he was able to play, I'm not saying we would have beat the Lakers, but we probably could have took them to 7 at that point too.
I mean, we could have made it a little bit of a playoff series. That was our main piece, him and Chris Paul. I mean, you put him and David West out there. Ooh, we could have. Now, I'm not saying like you said. I'm not saying we could have beat him. I'm not trying to make any news like that, but we could have been more competitive.
I've been trying to get David to come on this damn show for so long. He's being all camera shy. He's like one of the smartest players on the court and off the court of all time. I really just want to pick his brain, but he's being hard-headed. But maybe you giving him this shout out, he'll be like, all right, Jono, I'll come show you some love.
Come on, D West. You can go out here and
exactly.
It's okay. It's just a little
exactly.
Right.
Jason, man, we really appreciate you giving us your time. We know you're a very busy man. I mean, the Wizards ain't in the playoffs, so I don't even. That was a dumb joke because the Pelicans.
By the way, Jono said that this was only going to be like 30 minutes, and we're going on an hour 30. But it feels like 15 minutes because of great conversation with you guys. I've seen some of your podcasts. I've seen all your Instagram stuff. I love every bit of what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Everybody's going to have the naysayer attitude, but guess what? This shit is more than a game.
Just that's why you see. He's won back my good graces. Yes, won back my good graces. Jason, can you tell them where they can find you on social media?
Oh, man, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on Facebook. I've got a bunch of different names and everything. I think Instagram is Jason Sticks. I feel like that could be wrong. It could be right. I don't know. But I feel like, Jason Sticks, JasonStix on Instagram. Then you go over to Twitter or X, it is, and I am Jason Smith 014 on X. Then you can go and check out some video game stuff. Now, granted, the video game stuff was more because of the pandemic, and I was bored out of my mind. I think everybody was. And I was like, man, I love me some video games. I'm going to record myself. I go back and watch some of those, and I'm like, what were you doing?
It's definitely Jason Smith 014 on Twitter because I'm looking at it. I'm like, wait, Jason, he doesn't even follow me. So he's not joking when he says I'm not in this ball boy Mount Rushmore. He doesn't.
See, numbers don't lie, letters don't lie, follows don't lie.
Even with all that said, Jason, I would like, because you are on the show now, hopefully one day when you're back in the city, we would love to do this in person. You could come down to this shit more than the game studios because we love doing in-person stuff. But in the interim, I I want to say again, as a this shit more than a game pioneer that you are,
Following.
Hey,
Following.
You ain't got to follow Evan. Well, you can follow Ziggy. Ziggy's a very positive guy.
No. It ain't the Jono Barnes Show for a reason. Come on now.
You're right. I can't be making you. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't got a social media.
But the only reason that this show goes on is because of Ziggy and because of Evan, because of.
Well, not because of Evan.
Hey man, he cooking. Let him cook.
Anyways, we'll let him cook. Jason, we are going to officially on April 18th, 2024, induct you into the This Shit More Than a Game Hall of Fame. And I can't give it to you in person, but you have a This Shit More Than a Game t-shirt waiting for you. I'll get the details to you later, but you are Jason Smith. Not that it needed to be confirmed. This Shit More Than a Game certified. Ziggy, give him a This Shit More Than a Game air horns.
Hang his jersey in the rafters.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that, guys. I'm going to rock the crap out of that shirt, by the way. I can't wait to get that.
I'm going to give you the information on how you get the shirt after the show, but we appreciate you. Jason, one last thing. How much you really are This Shit More Than a Game certified. Tonight or today is your wife's birthday. You are actually taking time to come on a This Shit More Than a Game show on your wife's birthday. That is some true This Shit More Than a Game show, This Shit More Than a Game certified energy. We thank you for that, Jason. Ziggy, let's give Jason's wonderful wife, Christy Smith, some applause for her birthday.
I appreciate everybody in the studio. Thank you for that, man. Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday to my beautiful wife. It is her birthday. I sent her off to Atlantic City, got her a hotel room. I've been working throughout the entire NBA season. She's been taking care of the kids. I gave her a hotel room with her best friend. I got her some nice dinners. I got her a massage for tomorrow. So I gave her kind of a little couple-day getaway for me to have time with the kiddos and let her kind of relax. So happy birthday to my wife.
That is awesome. You even got my mama and my dad, Jason, watching, saying how much they're loving this interview. So now I got some cool points from my mom and dad. So you really are the man. But let me tell you, you gave all of those great things to your wife for her birthday, and the lovely Christy Smith definitely deserves it. I remember her during our time in New Orleans. Christy, Jason, she was always awesome. But there's one thing that you can really give her to set her birthday to be the greatest birthday of all time. And Jason, I never told you this, and many people don't know, but I am quite the singer. And in honor of this being the lovely Christy Smith's birthday, yours truly is going to sing for her on her birthday. Jason, all you got to do is clip this, give it to her, and you will never, ever. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Christy. Happy birthday to you. It's shit more than a birthday.
That's good. That's good. I would say keep your day job, keep the podcast going.
Bruh.
Jason, we appreciate the time, man. Honestly, from me, from Ziggy, from Evan, from my whole family, and from the This Shit More Than a Game community and all of the New Orleans Pelicans fans, again, we love you. You are a Pelicans and Hornets legend, and we will always, always be grateful for your time in New Orleans, and you know that you are always welcome back, not only to the show, but to the city of New Orleans, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And before we go, can you tell them, Jason, why you joined the Jono Barnes Show?
You know why I joined this show? Because this shit is more than a game.
This shit more than a game.
In the words of Jono Barnes, this is more than a game. It's more than a game.
This shit more than a game.